Old McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had some cows, E-I-E-I-O. With a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there, here moo, there moo, everywhere moo-moo. Old McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had some chickens, E-I-E-I-O. With a cluck-cluck here and a cluck-cluck there, here a cluck, there a cluck, everywhere a cluck-cluck. A moo-moo here and a moo-moo there, here moo, there moo, everywhere moo-moo. Old McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had some sheep, E-I-E-I-O. With a baa-baa here and a baa-baa there, here a baa, there a baa, everywhere a baa-baa. A cluck-cluck here and a cluck-cluck there, here a cluck, there a cluck, everywhere a cluck-cluck. A moo-moo here and a moo-moo there, here moo, there moo, everywhere moo-moo. Old McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Welcome, everyone, to the Kevin Storm Show. I mean, what a lie. Did anyone ever ask the cows or the chickens or the sheep if they wanted to be chopped up and eaten for dinner? But anyway, I had a great week. I hung out with my friends, played Xbox, and had some quality time with my mom. Last night we went to a water carnival. They had a whole bunch of floats. There were prizes. They had a sandcastle built, little sandcastle. It was supposed to look like a boat. Tons of fireworks. Really cool fireworks. I'd like to wish Erica Meyer of Compassion Over Killing a happy birthday. And what? Yeah. Here. Mom.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Erica. And a shout out to our friends, and we've got people listening in. Oh, it's on? Turn my mic up. Yeah, happy birthday, Erica. A shout out to our friends listening in Westfield, Massachusetts, and we have fans in Brazil and
Australia.
Yes, you have fans in Australia, and we had someone leave a message on the Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/abolitioninmedia. They sent us a message. Their Facebook name is Wester Vegan, and they asked us to mention the global supermarket protest for dairy. And I don't have a lot of information on that right in front of me. I'll mention it again later. And we have a fundraising project to help the homeless and animals and our show. If you can email your contact information to support us at kevinstorm.org, and you will receive some information on that.
On today's edition to the Kevin Storm Show, I'd like you all to meet Michael Weberman. He's the executive director of Farm Animal Rights Movement in Washington, D.C. The group hosts the Animal Rights Conference. No, the Animal Rights National Conference each year. Michael was recently married to Aaliyah, and I've met him twice. Once for the first time in May at the American Vegan Society garden party, and then once more at the conference. Hi, Michael. Thanks for being on the show. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
I was researching some information on you, and I noticed that you recently got a car. Why was that important?
Well, we're moving to Baltimore next weekend. My wife and I are, so she can begin a master's program at Towson University. And so since the office is in D.C., I wasn't going to be able to get in there on the bus. So I'll be working from home most days, but I'll need the car to come in every once in a while to the office. So.
Well, good luck with that.
Thanks. Yeah, it was nice to not need a car for a few years. Help the environment, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So. Yeah.
So, how long have you been with Farm, and how did you become executive director?
I began with Farm about 4.5 years ago, a little bit after I left college, and I was, I was just doing a lot of volunteer activism work, mostly with environmental organizations, but also with some animal work and some, anti-war and peace organizations. And I, was looking for a way to make a little bit of a living while I was at it, so I found the job opening at Farm. and realized that'd be perfect for me. That our values aligned perfectly, and so I just spoke with them, and fortunately they agreed. So that's how I originally got the gig at Farm. And then, I just began working. I started out working with their social media, and instead shifted to helping them run the campaigns and the programs, and realized that, we were able to build a nice team together that helped kind of take our campaigns to a new level, got some new staffers, and we felt like we were doing a lot more effective work. And so when it came time to needing to figure out who was going to be the next executive director, a few of us talked about it. I was a little bit nervous to take the title because I was only 26 when they gave me that title, and I thought that maybe someone a little 2 more years than I have might be more appropriate. But the people, when we talked about it at Farm, basically, they just agreed that I guess the vision that I was providing Farm warranted the title, and that the people with a few more years than I would just help support my vision by providing the infrastructural support that we needed. So that's kind of how that little adventure happened.
What did you do before you worked as the executive director?
What did I do at Farm, or what did I do elsewhere?
Like in general,
outside of Farm?
Like not even related to Farm. What activities, job wise?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I graduated college in 2008 with a degree in environmental economics and policy, and so my plan was to actually get into work that helped build like a carbon neutral economy, basically. So my intention was to do work to get cities to be more bike friendly and more public transportation friendly, and to help cities subsidize people to shift their houses to solar energy instead of and wind power energy instead of using coal and gas energy. And so that was my intention. And I still believe that work is very, very important. But as I was doing some work in the environmental sector, and I began to realize that our diets are at least as big, if not an even bigger contributor to global warming than a lot of these other issues I was fighting. And, of course, there's the animal issue, which has been dear to me for a decade now. I've been a vegan for about 10 years and vegetarian for a few years before that. So when I realized that there was a way that I could help save a lot of animals and maybe make just as big of a difference for the environment as I would have otherwise, that's kind of where that shift happened with the work that I was doing.
So when you first became vegetarian, vegan, was your family and friends, were they supportive?
That's a good question. That's funny. They were okay. They didn't like the idea at first when I went vegetarian. What happened was I did it on a whim. I was just sitting in class, and it was actually my French class, and we were learning how to say the names of farmed animals in French. And the same day we learned how to say their cuts of meat in French. And it's just really, I'd never really, it was like learning it for the first time in English, basically. I was in high school, but it was as I was a 3-year-old maybe, and they had just taught me at the same time as a 3-year-old that this is pork and it comes from a pig, and this is chicken, it comes from, or this is poultry and it comes from a chicken, etc. And so I was just upset about that, and so I went vegetarian. And so, yeah, my friends and family mostly, I think, thought that it was going to be very short-lived, because I hadn't done a lot of research when I first went vegetarian. I just thought it was the better thing to do and just did it. And so I think everyone kind of thought it was going to be short-lived, so they didn't take it very seriously. But, yeah, what about you?
Well, I've only been vegan for a little over a year.
Well, you're only 12, right? So that's huge. You've got years on me. I didn't go vegan until I was 17, so...
Well, I've been vegetarian my whole life because my mom was raising me vegan, but I was using dairy and meat and stuff at my dad's house. But, yeah, my mom's been extremely supportive. We've been finding new stuff that's vegan, a whole bunch of other foods. My dad's helping. He's trying to learn how to make more things that are vegan. He's trying to adapt things that I liked when I still used animal products into vegan. Like he made this special sauce that he would put on noodles. He's made a vegan version of that, and that was helpful because I didn't think I'd be able to live without that. It was really good. You were saying that some of your friends thought that it wouldn't be short-lived. my friends John and Brandon, I showed them a video of Meet Your Meat, and after seeing that, they thought they wanted to be vegan, but they haven't really. Their environment that they're living in isn't extremely vegan lifestyle supportive. But we're trying to help them, and they're now talking about it. Whenever the subject comes up, they're thinking that they would probably only last like 2 weeks or so. But yeah, we're my teacher in school let me show half my Bob Linden interview to the class, and then there was like a 45-minute Q&A after that in my homeroom. And that was pretty good.
That's great.
A lot of controversial topics brought up.
That's great. Yeah, I think that small steps are important for some people. You know, some people can do it overnight. I mean, I've got one good friend who ate meat, and he and I had an all-night discussion, you know, till 2, 3, 4 in the morning probably. We just stayed up all night talking about these issues, and he went vegan overnight. I mean, literally just overnight. So it happens, but most of my friends that have gone and stayed, and he's still vegan, but most of my friends who have stayed vegan, I have to say, most of them started out more slowly. And so, obviously I wouldn't discourage people from doing it overnight if they feel that works better for them. I mean, that's great if they can do it. But at the same time, I have noticed that with a lot of people, that doesn't work out so well. I've worked with, a lot of people, they start out slowly. They end up keeping the change for a lot longer. So,
hi, Michael. It's Susan, his mom. We were networking yesterday, actually. We met a woman at the laundromat, and she said that she used to be vegan, and of course that sparks a conversation of a completely different realm. And so we sat and we talked with her for a while, and she has a really interesting job. Her and her canine friend actually chase birds off of the runway at the Air Force strip near where we live. So we talked about that for a while, and she says she has an issue with cheese. So we had quite a conversation. I let her know about a pizza place that's close to her that has a really great vegan menu, and they use Daiya cheese, and that's out in Toms River, Via Roma. So hopefully she'll get to try that sometime. But yeah, it's hard to talk to people that are really, really hooked on dairy products.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, there's some evidence out there to say that it's literally physically addictive. I mean, there's an addictive component to it, and also I know for some people it's a little harder for them to make the connection of why it's unethical. That it's easy for a lot of people to see why we wouldn't eat meat, even if they don't agree, even if they still eat meat, they understand it. Like, most people get why someone would refrain from eating meat, but I think some people have a more difficult time grasping what's wrong with eating dairy, and because that paired with how addictive it is, I think can make it harder for them to give it up when they don't even fully understand what's wrong with it, and when it's literally physically addictive. So yeah, I definitely think that just giving the tasty replacements is the best thing we can do in that realm. I think just having them realize that there are foods that, if they incorporate into their menus will help replicate that, I think is probably the best thing that can happen to get people to give the boot to dairy.
I know a lot of people are fooled by the so-called non-dairy creamer at the coffee spots, and I had an issue with that for a while. I didn't know a lot about casein, and when I did become educated on the whole casein situation, I found out that I think that's the addictive thing, because it was really hard to stop putting that in my coffee. And once I did, it's very equivalent to recovering from a drug addiction is trying not to do that. I don't even want to drink coffee that much anymore because I know I'm not going to put that in there. So I use a little more sugar now, but it's definitely different.
Huh.
What are some good pointers for kids who want to be like you, be a leader of an animal rights movement?
Huh. That's an interesting question. I would probably recommend to start out with something like small and winnable. And what I mean by that is that obviously maybe their long-term goal would be to do something really big and save millions of animals, and that's a great long-term goal. But I would say that, if someone wants to make a big contribution to a cause in a small, at a younger age, just to start with something, winnable, to pick something that they think is doable. So maybe they can work to get a vegan option added to their school's cafeteria. Would be a great way to, a great way to just get experience in coordinating and leading an effort. And maybe another thing they could do would just be to start a little pledge program at their school if they're a vegan, where they just get like 5 people to pledge to go vegan for a week, and they work with those people and help them, and they all maybe get some of their favorite foods together, veganize or something like that, and they go out together and get some, vegan pizza or whatever, something like that, just something small where they pick a target and then see it achieved, because I think that's one of the main things that makes leaders, is seeing that your efforts are bearing fruit, basically, that there's actually a result coming from your efforts. And so if you say, we're going to make our entire cafeteria vegan, and then you spend your whole middle school years fighting to do that, and then by the time you leave middle school you haven't done it, you might be discouraged and not even want to be an activist anymore because you feel like you can't, like your efforts didn't result in anything. But if your goal was to get, 2 vegan options added, or if your goal was to get them to stop using eggs in the baked goods and replace those eggs with a vegan egg product or something like that, if your goal is a little more manageable to start, I think that's a great way to get moving forward on honing your leadership skills, and that and then you can learn how to help mobilize people, how to motivate people to get on board with your cause, et cetera, et cetera.
So what would some, if you were to go to your school cafeteria and try to get them to add some vegan option, what are some things that aren't too hard for people to make that they could add to the cafeteria that would be vegan?
Yeah, we haven't, at Farm, we don't have a program right now to help people add vegan options to the cafeteria, although it's something that we've been talking about. But I'm pretty sure that PCRM, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, I believe that they have guides for how to do that, and they actually have sample menus that you can give to the cafeteria head. But I would imagine that most schools probably don't want to use vegan meats right now. Maybe some of the more progressive schools would, but I would imagine that most schools would rather make maybe an ethnic dish, like a lentil dish or something like that. Something that they can get standard ingredients from their bulk supplier of food. That they can get from Cisco or Aramark or Sodexo or whoever does their whatever large company supplies their food, and so they probably work with something like lentils or beans and rice that they can easily get. I imagine they wouldn't want to put seitan in or tempeh yet or anything like that. So
I mean, 'cause I would think that's something easy to do, because they have Taco Tuesdays, but that's like beef and cheese and stuff like that. They could make it Taco Tuesday, but instead of having beef, they could have the other option of refried beans instead of the beef. Like, you could say, "Can I get mine with refried beans?" or "Can I get?" Yeah,
I agree. And what would be great is if there was some incentive to do that, because obviously a lot of the kids are just going to pick the beef anyway right now. But if there was some way, we found at Farm that incentives go a long way. That's why we do the program where we pay people $1 to watch the short video. And so if there was some incentive to pick the beans, like if there was some healthy competition going on at the school, or if there was, if the beans were cheaper, if it was 50 cents off to get beans instead of beef, or some, if there was some incentive to pick the vegan option, that would be a really interesting idea. But yeah, I think you're right that if you have a stir fry, just have the option for tofu instead of chicken, or if you have the tacos, have an option for beans instead of beef, or if you have the pasta, have the option for some other protein instead of the meatballs or whatever it might be. So yeah, that's a very good idea. You're right.
I mean, my dad makes Seton nuggets, and they're still a little spongy, so they might be weird for some people at first. But I mean, when you think about it, it's not even hard to make. I mean, it doesn't even take long. Because my dad could make this small amount of materials, and it makes 40 of them.
Yeah.
And you can make them whatever size you want. You could make them into a patty, and you could put it on a burger bun with ketchup and stuff like that, and it wouldn't even be hard to serve.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, of course, there's just the issue can be just familiarity, what they're used to. So if the school is used to using the same ingredients all the time, a change can seem harder for them than it would for you or me because they've been using these same ingredients for decades to serve hundreds or thousands of children. So, it can be a little bit of a change for them. But yeah, you're right. I think that's a very good point. You're right. Yeah.
So what sort of projects have you been working on since the conference?
Well, right before the conference, we joined the Warped Tour. So the Warped Tour, for those who don't know, is a traveling rock concert series. It does 40 dates across the U.S. It's the largest traveling concert series in the country. And they allow us to come on for free with our truck. And our truck has 8 touchscreens in it with 4 headphones each, so up to 32 people at one time can watch this video about the way that our food is produced, the way that animal products are produced, meat, dairy, and eggs. And so we pay people $1 to watch that video, and we've been having great results. This year we've had over 1,000 viewers a day on that on average. So obviously some days might only have 600-700, but other days have had 1,300. And so we're averaging over 1,000 views a day. And over 80% of those people are pledging on site to eat more vegan food and to reduce their consumption of animal products. And so that's been a great project, and that's going to go on for a few more weeks. And then once that's